Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here, yet again, an iteration of Dude After Dark. Had a little bit of a technical thing going on, so I really had to, adjust things. Hopefully everything is adjusted suitably and, sound guys, stop that. Hopefully it's adjusted just fine, okay? I've been playing around because it seems when sound guy plays the sound effects, they sound a little bit more than okay, yeah, no, they don't just sound like caca. They sound like well, complete and total. Okay, I think they got it, sound guy. It sounds like caca. Okay. Well, anyway, I think what it is the Yeti microphone might be attuned to more like verbal range, and it might just be a case of where it's just kind of going, oh, too much. So anyway, hopefully everything's working out accordingly. I am going to click off on YouTube now, so I'm looking at the bigger chat room. I'm a couple minutes after 9 o'clock, so sorry about that. Sorry, things are working. So hopefully you guys get the advance notice that things are currently going on, and it is doing. I have picked up some moderately newer technology, and it's actually kind of interesting how things are like able to work with one another. I mean, case in point, I do have the spare here. So literally, I have a Yeti microphone, same thing as one of these guys. Basically, the Yeti, not the blue. It is the blue. It's the blue Yeti. It's not the Snowball. The Snowball, I got a spare Snowball up there, but this is the blue Yeti. So we got way more adjustments on board, a little bit more technologically advanced, but it is a USB powered microphone. So literally, it's jacked into the only port that is on this side of the tablet that I'm currently utilizing for the uplink. Now, I went on YouTube and I was looking around, not YouTube, I'm sorry, eBay. I was looking on eBay and I was looking around and I was like, gee, can I actually find a mouse that is like dongle? So, that little USB plug with like the box on the side that you jack into the USB slot. I was looking for a specifically Bluetooth mouse that did not need to have a USB plug. Well, I actually did find one. And so, the red light of doom. So this guy right here is basically, it's going to be a travel mouse. And case in point, I am literally set up now that I actually have a mouse that works with my tablet. Convincingly enough, I also have a keyboard that works with the tablet. So for all intents and purposes, I basically have a mini laptop. For all intents and purposes, hopefully it's justifiably enough that it's doing what it needs to do. Good stuff like that there. And let me make sure everything's working okay on YouTube. It's doing the waiting thing. I don't know why it's doing that. It actually should just be doing it at 9:01. That's a little weird. I might actually have to redo this because this is a little strange. It should actually be doing it right now live, and it's not. I don't know why it's saying it's scheduled. Ugh. All right, let me see if I can't make this thing work. I'm going to try to do things, and hopefully it's going to go. But I don't know why it's doing this time difference thing. Hang on a second. Let me try rebooting it one more time. No, it's being obnoxious. Okay. All right, so Disney to 6 more scrolls. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. That's a little strange here. Let me check this again. I guess it is actually working live. Let me try my channel again. Go over to my channel again, live. Oh, I have two 116s currently going. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird, man. I should actually have one of these currently going. Okay, I actually do have one of these going. So I was looking at the wrong one. Oh, that's weird, man. That is weird. Hang on a second here. Let me try rebooting this thing. Okay, so that one is currently running. Dang, this is sometimes annoying as hell. All right, so I'm gonna go into my YouTube studio and I'm gonna remove the offending not running one. Yeah. Oh, that's annoying as hell. I think what it is sometimes is the technology. They say it's just phenomenally amazing and all the rest of good stuff like that. There, in the room, Patriot Fever is saying that Disney Plus now has 6 seasons of Schoolhouse Rock, including American Rock No Kings, just billing Moneysaurus Rex. Oh man! All right, hang on a second here. Let me go over to my stuff, my Stalker stuff. Go over here. That one is going to go and say bye bye because it is offending me because it's not doing anything. Ugh. Say bye bye to you. Goodbye to you. Woo-hoo. I really can't like do the melody, or it's just going to go. You have the copyright hit for singing a song sung by somebody else, and I'm not going to do that. So excuse me one second here. I got Tiki juice. Anyway, so like I was saying, in terms of uplink technology, I do currently have stuff that works. I do have a tablet that currently uplinks, and I can now, of course, do live casts to YouTube. Hopefully, sound guy doing sound effects is not going to be too. Sound guy, what are you doing? Really, what are you doing? Yeah, you're doing that. I need to adjust the stop button. Yeah, that. Okay. So anyway, spicy. Okay, so I'm now doing certain level checks, unfortunately, because sound guy's playing with the. Stop jerking with the controls.
I've fallen, and I
can't. It's spicy. That's probably one of our loudest sound effects. Okay, so stop playing with the buttons. So please remember what you're gonna get. There's no delete button on the internet. It's spicy.
You're in violation of the 3 laws.
You're doing the max headroom thing again. Yeah. He's doing the max headroom thing. Like I said in the commentary leading into the video, sound guy, stop. Yeesh. Anyway, hopefully, hands off. Hands off. Hands off. Okay. Looking at the news, and like I said, technology-wise, I know now, of course, have a mouse. I have a mouse. I got a keyboard. I got a working tablet. So hopefully everything live cast is working all right. The major thing I'm playing with right now is I'm doing different placement on the speakers for, sound guys input, that hopefully everything doesn't sound bad. Yeah, hopefully everything doesn't sound bad. Don't do it. He's going to do it again. Anyway, so looking at the news, I do have a stack of stuff. Some of this stuff, I cannot begin to tell you what a social albatross some people really truly are in normal society. Wow. Like, there is, of course, the cultural thing where some people really don't tip. And I do mean like you could eat at the restaurant and what law is sound guy not violating? The law of nature mostly, but yeah. So anyway, the cultural thing is they do not tip, and it's not even like a European thing. They strictly do not tip. They are really profoundly just like they think that by ordering the food, buying the food, making purchase of the food, that the server is going to get the X, X, Y, whatever, math problem you have to ones to like make it inclusive upon, they're going to get their air quotes cut. Well, most people that are serving, they live on tips. Excuse me 1 second here. And if somebody gives me good service, I tip accordingly. If they give me sucky service, well, they get really sucky tips. Most times, though, if they're really standout, I do not give them a tip on paper. I say something to the effect of paid cash, and I make it really vague, paid cash. And I give them a cash tip. That way they put it in pocket. Taxman don't know because it didn't go through the system. And for all intents and purposes, taxman don't need to know. Yes, I know big, beautiful bill supposedly is knocking tips out and all the rest of that fun stuff. That remains to be seen. However, that remains to be seen for when it is actually enacted in place and when the IRS finally goes, okay, we're going to stop taking all your money that you've earned. Yeah, that's going to be a hard-won conclusion. I don't put much truck upon it. And also, I really, truly don't trust the IRS. So I'm going to shelter, hide, be subterfugely minded. I don't even know if that's a good adjective, but I'm going to basically stash as much and rack as much cash as possible, and I'm not going to let them know what I've earned. Accordingly, I'm going to do the same thing for any of the serving staff that do proceed to give me my food at the table and bars and other places along those lines. I usually tip with cash. It's just a better way to go. So anyway, this person, and I'm not even going to give like specifics on this person. I will say that she was a female, but she was basically presented with a receipt, and this went viral. So she was losing it over the line item on her bill because she didn't know what a gratuity was. So her reaction caught on camera. What is this grad titty? And why is it $44? Who is grad titty? Literally, she's saying it like that. Gratity. What is gratity? And why is it $44? The waiter calmly explained, it's the tip. That's what it really seeks in. The tip, y'all just put that S hit on there. The waiter's still calm. Yeah. Her response, Now, I guarantee you this was a cultural thing where similar person was interacting. I'm thinking if it was differential, it would have been a whole bunch of, oh, no, you didn't. And it would have been a whole kerfuffle, as it were. And it would have been, yeah, just. Yeah, it would not have worked out really well. And it would have been a ridiculous amount of, oh, yeah, just unbelievable. Yeah, and more than a little bit of, oh, yeah, I think of it a little bit more than that, sound guy.
Enough is enough. I have had it with these mother on this mother plane. Everybody strap in. I'm about to open some windows.
It would be cats on a plane. Thank you so much, sound guy. I think it would have been a whole bunch of, oh, no, you did it, you. How could you? All the rest of the. I think a whole bunch of rassa would have taken place. That too. Anyway, so long and short, essentially, this person had absolutely no inkling of what a gratuity is, and I'm sure that they were probably not going to tip in the first place, but it was like, oh, okay, that's the tip. Yeah, that's the tip that you weren't going to be giving to the server. That's the tip. Yeesh. Just yeesh. Anyway, so way, shape, or form, hopefully everything's working out better in terms of the sound. It doesn't sound like yeah, hopefully it didn't sound like, cat grabbing a hold of the hot wire. Yipes. Anyway, so scrolly. This is bloody flipping excellent news. Now, there is a lot of places who will do a lawsuit to harass gun manufacturers. Are they trying to cash in? I don't even think that's the case. I think it's literally just a case of harassing the gun manufacturers to the point where they're like, okay, fine, here's some money, just leave us alone, stop suing us. Well, here's a lawsuit that took place 29 years ago. So, Gary, Indiana, a really choice area to begin with, sued Smith and Wesson. Can I really show the Smith & Wesson? Well, let's just say that YouTube doesn't like when you show firearms on live videos. So let's just say Smith & Wesson. Yeah. Brought along my Smith & Wesson here. Oh, I got two. Yeah. That's right, YouTube. I'm showing guns on camera. Yeah. I got my two Dirty Harry specials here. Yeah. Two Dirty Harry specials. That's about as much gun on camera, unfortunately, as you can show on YouTube on a live cast because they go, you just said the word gun and showed a firearm. That's right. Did he fire 5 fingers or only 4? Yeah. I didn't bring my 6-shooter because I'm not a mutant. Anyway, so Gary, Indiana, 26 years ago, rendered a lawsuit against Smith & Wesson. And they said essentially, your guns are unsafe. Your guns are too prevalent in our society. Your guns are killing people left, right, and center. Not the people, the guns. You see what's happening is these guns are leaping out of the firearms storage areas, and they're just running down the streets going, I gotta find somebody. Where's a person? Ooh, there's somebody. I see a person, and when I see a person, I cannot stop myself.
Look at me.
No, sound guy, no. Yeah, that. Yeah. So anyway, that's.
Mr. Meeseeks, look at me.
How did the monkey pops get into the firearms, okay? Mr. Meeseeks, jeez. Would you stop at the neck breaking?
Mr. Meeseeks, look at me.
Anyway, so, you're not getting completely messed up with Mr. Meeseeks here. So anyway, the lawsuit was rendered by Gary, Indiana, against Smith & Wesson. So, on Monday, Indiana's Court of Appeals reversed the lower court's decision, affirming the state's authority to protect lawful gun manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers from protracted litigation. Translation, drag-on lawsuits that try to bankrupt the people who are involved through litigious crap, trying to make them bankrupt with high lawyer fees. So, the ruling in the case of Smith & Wesson Corporation et al., translation Smith & Wesson, versus the city of Gary, Indiana, dismisses the city of Gary, Indiana's long-standing lawsuit against major players in the firearms industries, reinforcing Second Amendment rights and law protections afforded to law-abiding gun businesses. Stick it up your tailpipe, Gary, Indiana. The legal battle, which began in August 1999, saw the city of Gary file a complaint against various firearm manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers, including Smith & Wesson. The city alleged that the defendants' marketing and distribution practices contributed to illegal handgun sales, particularly through straw purchases, leading to increased crime and public costs. The amended complaint filed in 2001 asserted claims of public nuisance and negligence, seeking to hold the industry accountable for the actions of an unrelated third party. Translation, straw purchase. That is when a person goes into a gun store and they buy a gun, not for themselves, but to hand off and go, here you go, buddy. Here's a gun. That guy then takes the gun and does unscrupulous things with it, thus relying on the fact that the gun goes back to the person who made the purchase in the first place. That is a straw purchase. And if you were a gun dealer and you see somebody coming and walking in there going, yeah, I'd like to buy a gun for protection. And this guy looks like totally unscrupulous kind of a sort who probably should never have a firearm in the first place. It is upon you to go, okay, sure, yeah, cool, no problem. Give me 1 second here. I got to go in the back room and do something real fast. That's when you beep, 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 boop, 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 boop to the cops and go, hey, man, I think somebody here is trying to pull a straw purchase. I'm going to proceed slowly with the sale. I want you guys to arrive. Could you please come in and run this guy and see what he's up to? So then you go out there and you do the world's slowest paperwork ever on the firearms transfer. And dude is standing there going, yeah, I need a gun. Yeah, he's kind of jittering there and doing all his things. Hopefully the cops show up and the guy goes, I changed my mind. I don't need a gun right now. And he tries to run out the door and the cops are like, hold it, pounce. And he proceeds to get busted right then and there for attempts on a straw purchase of a firearm, which is a bad case of juju. So much so that pretty much you get tossed into the back of a cop car and they go, hey, buddy, let's go for a ride. And then he goes to jail.
Look at me.
What the heck did Mr. Meeseeks have to do with that sound guy? Nothing. Anyway, however, the Indiana General Assembly has consistently intervened to safeguard the rights of the firearms industry. In 2001, the immunity statute was enacted, shielding manufacturers and sellers from liability of lawful design, manufacture, marketing, or sale of firearms, as well as damages from criminal misuse by third parties. Okay, you don't go back to the car manufacturer going, this guy drove drunk and wiped out 20 people. You don't do that, okay? You don't go, hey, you knife manufacturer, you just made a knife that some guy basically went out and went completely conjittered with and just wiped out as many people as he could. No other industry did they go back to the manufacturer and go, hey, because somebody else was using your stuff, you're guilty too. That just does not happen in normal society ever. And there's been protections put in place where these litigious, very blue areas are like, oh, no, we're going to make these gun guys pay. You don't get to make them pay because really you take them to court and you lose, which is how it should be. Anyway, the statute was amended in 2015 to apply retroactively to August 26, 1999, therefore extending its reach to the Grrr lawsuit. Later, in 2024, the reservation statute was passed as an emergency measure, reserving the right to sue firearms-related entities exclusively to the state, effectively halting local government actions like Grrr. So basically what it was is they lost in court. Then the state Senate and all these other statutes came into play saying you can't do this, okay? You're superseding the authority of the state, and the state is saying no, and they're stomping on it with 2 feet really, really hard, okay? They're just they're not playing. So anyway, it goes to the point that now Grrr, Indiana, that bunch of they don't win. As a matter of fact, they actually lose really, really, really badly. So it just comes down to basic common sense. An inanimate object is an inanimate object. It's not going to go leaping out of the box and just go, oh, no, I have to do this, unscrupulous activity. It just does not happen. This one is going to be probably a little, I got this one, sound guy. this one is going to be just a little bit strange, and I'm going to have to be very careful on how I posit this because, truthfully, Will Smith might have something else going on, and
Oh, you touch my.
yeah, I think Will Smith might be touching somebody's
Oh, you touch my ta-la-la. Oh, you touch my ta-la-la.
Yeah, he's trying to touch somebody's tra-la-la, and well, it was just more than a little bit of Sound guys, stop, okay? Because next thing you know, you're going to be getting into the whole, well, inappropriateness of. I don't know why I just did that. That was weird. Oh, hey, Live Virginia's mother too. How you doing there? I don't know why I just did that. That was weird. Hang on a sec. Okay, that's better. It just like zoomed up half my screen. Live Virginia's mother too. How you doing tonight? Glad you came in. So anyway, Will Smith might have a little bit of a problem because he wasn't chasing after well, maybe he may have been chasing after somebody else, and yeah, I think it may have been more than a little bit of yeah, he was looking for XYZ PDQ OU 812 type activities on another guy, and
Oops, I dropped my gerbil. What?
no, don't. I'm not letting you play the whole thing, okay? No. But anyway, the whole yeah, he's okay. Anyway, let me get into the story sound, guys. Stop with all the XYZ PDQ OU 812 descriptives, okay? I think we got it. It was not a girl. It was a guy. Anyway, coming in from Breitbart.com, Will Smith is being sued by a dude. Why? Well, sexual harassment. Yeah, that's one of those kind of like, out of the ether things. So Will Smith is being sued by a male tour violinist who's accusing the Hollywood actor and rapper of sexual harassment, wrongful termination, and retaliation in a suit, according to the America's Got Talent contestant. Yipes. So it said essentially that he was preparing him for sexual exploitation during their working relationship. So reports of the suit reviewed by the outlet, musician Brian King Joseph named Smith and Trey Ball Studios management as defendants and accuses Smith of, quote, predatory behavior and deliberately grooming and priming Mr. Joseph for further sexual exploitation while on his Based on a True Story 2025 tour this past spring. Mother 2 says, always knew that Will Smith was limp-wristed. Just give me 1 second here. Mother 2, I know that you happen to be a member of the AA community, and I've talked to some of the homies downtown in Baltimore, and they said that Jada was like the local easy girl, and that's putting it kindly. They said that she was the very easy girl in the neighborhood. So I don't know what Will's problem is, but apparently he was not enough for her. Let's see. So anyway, claims that he was booked for the band and had problems with Will, that his bag, which contained his hotel room key, went missing for several hours before management found and returned it to him. And members of the management were the only individuals with the access to his room. He found somebody had unlawfully entered the room, left behind belongings, including wipes, a bottle of HIV medication with another individual's name, and a note that read, Brian, I'll be back later. 5:30, just us, draws heart, stone F, which Joseph interpreted as a warning, as an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts with him. Yikes. Variety reports the claimant alleges that days later, a member of the management team shamed him for the incident and told Joseph he was being terminated, suggesting he made the whole thing up. Smith's attorney, Alan B. Grudsky, has denied all allegations in a statement to the Daily Mail, which reads, quote, Mr. Joseph's allegations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. They are categorically denied and will use all legal means available to address these claims and ensure the truth is brought to light. That's standard lawyer speak for my guy is guilty as sin, but I'm trying to cover his ass. Yipes. So apparently Big Willie, let's just say he doesn't mind if there's a little fudge on the end. Yeesh. I'm trying to keep it G-rated here, but sometimes these things are just asking for attention, and whoa. I mean, just whoa. I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like, Hollywood has its whole quirky bit about
Oops, I dropped my gerbil.
Yeah, and it just gets really, really
You've got mail.
Yeah. It gets very strange there. So anyway,
You've got mail.
okay, yeah, you got to be really careful about the one, sound guy. Be careful, careful. Okay, you don't want to. Would you stop? Okay, stop. We're good. Okay.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, anyway, so that is coming out. It's kind of more than just a little bit dicey here, but it is Hollywood, okay? Yeah, it is Hollywood, okay? That's just how they roll. Oh, sound guy, you're saying that's what he was. Oh no, I think he was looking for the back door, not the front door. Anyway, so yeah, that's come out now, and ew. I mean, his reputation right now is really just not great. I mean, most people just still remember him from assaulting Chris Rock. It's just really an uncomfortable thing to even consider that guy as like a public figure now. Just bad juju. Excuse me 1 second here. This is absolutely horrendously just yipes. And I don't even like, I mean like yipes. So there was a gathering for supporters for Zohran Mamdani, and it was a quote unquote block party. Okay, you have a large public gathering. Apparently, there's probably going to be food. Obviously, you want to have some porta potties around because you're kind of locked in. I mean, you're there for the whole duration of the whole thing as it's going on, and you're just there. I mean, the last thing you want is to be stuck in some place and everything is just kind of going south, and everybody is just making a massive bit of. Yeah, you don't want people doing things in.
The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't want that going on in public. Okay, you want people to be able to maintain themselves without doing things in public. Okay, you don't want that in public, sound guy. No, not that either. Okay. Sound guy. You don't want that in public. Yeesh. Okay, anyway, hands off the buttons. Stop. So Mamdani is got his little gathering there. So fans of Democrat Socialists around Mamdani, and this was in Breitbart, were corralled into a barricaded area with no bathrooms or food at a quote-unquote block party for his inauguration on Thursday as New York City mayor. Quote, it was definitely not a block party. 30-year-old Astoria resident Danny Mahabir told the New York Post, explaining expected food and music on New Year's Day. Around 10,000 supporters of the Muslim Socialists stood outside City Hall during the event, which Mondami staff called the inauguration of a new era bloc party, per the report. Mahavir, who wore 3 layers of clothes to protect against the frigid 20-degree weather, said he and others were just behind the barricades watching it on TV. The crowd heard far-left speakers, including Representative AOC, Senator Bernie Sanders, before Mondami took the oath of office. It's not exactly what I was expecting. 30-year-old Brooklyn resident Shane Turner told the outlet, I was expecting food and music. No, you got less than that, buddy. I was expecting food and music. I go to watch this from home, said 25-year-old Queens woman who declined to identify herself. The security lines were reportedly causing some confusion and delayed entry for some attendees. Event organizers told attendees to arrive by 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the ceremony, which started a half an hour later. Another woman who did not want to be identified told the Post she waited in line for 90 minutes to access the viewing area. Quote, the police officer has not been informed about anything. They don't know which entrance or where anything is, he said. I'm really, really unhappy. Well, guess what? You're going to be really, really, truly unhappy when you see what Mondami does to your city down the road. This is only a small taste of how New York City is going to run under somebody who is 1, unknowledgeable, 2, incompetent, 3, a socialist. Get ready for New York City to be reaching levels of suckitude you have not seen since a former mayor ran the place down to the ground. Believe that. Mother of Two says too many nasty shenanigans happen in Hollywood. Well, yeah. There's a reason why I refer to it as Hollyweird. That's why I call it Hollyweird. Excuse me 1 second here. I gotta look at something. See if that one didn't go away. Yeah, I'm gonna stay on top of that one. Anyway, way, shape, and form which we find ourselves with anything in Hollywood, it gets really, really, really bizarre. Also, anytime you start talking like really, really blue areas going really, really, really more blue, ooh, my stars and garters. Mother Two, let's just call it like it is. New York's going to start being called New Istanbul. Yeah. Yep. Maybe Sound Guy is trying to out weird Hollywood. Well, he kind of does that anyway, you know. Did you have anything to say about that, Sound Guy? As expected. Yeah, it's par for the course with him. You really, truly have to just deal with him being Sound Guy. Just biscuits are burning fart. Sure. Thanks. I don't even want to know what that was. He gets in the fart catalog and it just gets involved. All right. Anyway, so basically everybody got into the thing and they were gobsmacked with it. Just really was not a gathering of which they thought it was going to be. Get used to that, people in New York City. You're going to find out things are going to be completely different from any previous iteration. Why? Because it's being run by a complete and total utter competent who has never held a job in public office, has no knowledge on the nuts, bolts, and workings or inner workings therein of a major city, especially New York. New York, the working parts is unbelievably intrinsically strange because you're playing off a couple things. 1, really seriously expensive workings. 2, union everything. 3, to try to get anything to have happen, the process to get any of the permits and anything, unbelievably involved waiting times. Case in point, say you have a place and you go, you know, I don't like that switch there. I want to have that switch moved someplace else. For them to take that switch and move that switch to somewhere else, you have to get a plaster contractor. You have to get an electrician contractor. You have to get a person who can actually look at the drawings of the building before they do anything. So literally moving one light switch, which would be normally for an electrician, a couple $100, anywhere else, a couple $100, hours work, maybe. In New York City, it's $1,650 and might take somewhere in excess of a couple of weeks just to move a light switch. Give me 1 second here. That's why a lot of people do stuff under the table, and they do a lot of work with gypsy guys. It's just facilitating an unworkable process. Pedro Fever, fairly certain your biscuits are burning at the last thing you... Oh, shit. Okay. Your biscuits would definitely be burning. I'm thinking that's why your biscuits are burning. Oh, you don't get a fanfare for that one, okay? No. No. Yeah, you did that to yourself, okay? Don't even try to, hang back on that one. Yeah, you did that to yourself. Trying to honk out a Bobo. Let's see. Scrolly. If I was, and I said this exactly on Facebook, if I was fluent in Spanish, and Argentina looks freaking amazing now with Javier running stuff. So, viva la presidente de Argentina, Javier Milei. Dude, you rock. Why am I saying these things? Because now he has just announced what's happening in Argentina. He's created a regional bloc to stand up to the cancer of socialism. This guy rocks, man. He really, truly does. Regarding a soon-to-be-released interview, when he's actively working towards establishing a regional 10-country bloc in Latin America to stand up to the cancer of socialism. Notice, Venezuela just got knocked down by a couple pegs, and they're inserting their justifiably, legally elected person as president versus a dictator stuffing himself in there going, no, I run things now. Boop, I'm the captain. So Milei was interviewed on journalist Andreas Oppenheimer this week for Oppenheimer's television show at CNN en Español. So basically CNN in Spanish. A brief snippet was published by the outlet ahead of the full interview upcoming broadcast on January 11. The Argentine president is a staunch opponent of socialism and all of its collectivism forms. Quote, we haven't named it yet, but there's already a group of 10 countries working on it, and we will continue to move forward, Milei said. We are trying to form a bloc, which are proposals to embrace the idea of freedom and stand up to the cancer of socialism in its various forms, whether it be socialism in the 21st century, woke socialism, not to mention more extreme versions. Man, this guy rocks. I really, truly appreciate what he's done for the country of Argentina. Dude, you kick major tail feathers. Let's see. Scrolly. He stressed to Oppenheimer that it would seem like the region has awakened from a nightmare of socialism in the 21st century, referring to the series of right-wing presidential victories across Latin America through 2025 that included Jose Antonio Cast in Chile, Rodrigo Paz in Bolivia, Daniel Noboa in Ecuador, and more recently, Nasri Afua in Honduras. All presidents with a friendly stance towards the United States and President Donald Trump. Notice things are starting to go kind of towards the right now because they are rejecting socialism, they're rejecting woke, and they are definitely seeing things doing better when you don't go full hard left. Unnamed Argentine government sources confirmed to the local paper La Nación that although the anti-socialist bloc project is still in its early stages, recent developments led to Milei now standing with U.S.-friendly regional leaders with whom he shares common ground. Quote, the government emphasizes a large part of the group has already signed joint statements, not only criticizing Chavismo in Venezuela, but also supporting U.S. actions in the Caribbean Sea and elections in Honduras, which already decided in favor of Asfira, Washington's candidate La Nación reported. So, translation, This is not a mistake for Trump to say, you know what, this guy needs to get out of Venezuela because he's holding things up. He is a dictator. He's taken over the place. He's ruined the oil infrastructure, and really, he's done nothing for the population down there. Now, everybody's like, well, he just wanted the oil. It's a little bit more than that, okay? But there's also news stories coming out where they've reflagged some vessels saying, this is now a Russian boat. Oh, this is now a Chinese boat. Well, just to avoid public pissing matches, you don't dick with the other guy's ships. So they're like, haha, we got by you. So Trump is like, you know what? You can keep trucking off that load of oil. Guess what? You're going to be coming back empty. And oh, yeah, the country where you're going to be picking it up from is not going to refill your boats anymore. So, besides being a strike down of Chavez, it was a strike into the heart of oil sales to Iran, oil sales to China, oil sales to other places where obviously they now got to go to Russia or they need to go to other places, and they cannot enrich Venezuela and their really bad leadership guys right now. So once they're removed from power and they shut off the oil, strategically, this is 3D chess to say, we're just not going to allow these problems to get any worse. So you can keep moving the boats around all you want to. They're not going to fill up there unless it's going to be under legitimate, good reasons. And once that boat departs, it better be going to the right place because things are going to go really, really wrong if it doesn't. So that's how you control that one. You can say, well, our boats will go anywhere you want. Yeah, that's great. But if your boat's coming in empty and it's leaving out empty, what is the point? It's not going to have any good purpose doing anything except for trucking around empty, and you're wasting time and effort. All good things. Let's see. Scrolly. This is one I really, truly, absolutely could positively say it will not affect me ever. Reason being, and I'll show you what I got. I do not use anything Bluetooth headphone related. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. I only use plug-in headphones. So you guys are going, well, if you got a plug-in headphone, how do you make that work with a modern unit that uses a USB plug? Well, it's very simple. You use a dongle. This, of course, being just an adapter. So you have your dongle, you take your plug, you plug your plug into your dongle, you plug your USB-C into your device. Guess what? That's a non-Bluetooth headphone now currently working in a non-Bluetooth setup. So there's a couple different varieties. I mean, you have basically your standard basic dongle, which is basically just, a 1/8 3.5 millimeter plug going into a USB-C, or you have this kind of cool looking little guy here, which basically goes 90 degrees. So that just plugs into the, I can say real fast on this one. So it just plugs into the bottom. I actually do have a headphone jack on this phone, so it will not work with this. So you take that guy, plug that guy in like such, take this guy, plug that in there like such. You have now converted a USB-C to a 1/8 earbud. So wired headphones do not have Bluetooth technology. They don't utilize Bluetooth technology. They don't need Bluetooth technology. They are hooked in directly, doing everything they need to do by hard connection. Good stuff like that there. Excuse me 1 second here. I might have to fight with this for a second. Okay, and I won. Now, the reason why I am so hard charging on simply utilizing a dongle and a non-Bluetooth headphone, this is why, guys, this is really, really bad. So, there is a problem with Bluetooth headphones. So 70 million of these chips that are installed in these Bluetooth devices, Sony, Bose, Marshall, JBL. So it's a JBL unit, just the same as everybody else. Yipes. The only person not affected with this is Apple, because they use a slightly different technology that is their own proprietary thing. So the debug protocol active on production devices, attackers can dump your Bluetooth keys or impersonate your headphones and hijack your phone. It gets better. So, 3 CVEs, 0 authentication required, full technical disclosure, December 27, 2025. These are the vulnerabilities. So, there's no authentication on Bluetooth Low Energy, no authentication on Bluetooth Classic, no need for this one either, but it does do it. Debug protocol exposed that should never be accessible. So, the company is called AirRoha. So, AirRoha, the factory protocol meant for testing and firmware updates during production. It exposes read-write access to the RAM and flash memory over 3 channels, which would be USB, HD, Bluetooth Classic, RF COM Channel 21, and BLE GATT services. So the protocol was never disabled before shipping. So it's a debug protocol. Literally what they do is they'll have this thing on the bench, and they'll go beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 test, 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 test. Okay, it's working great, cool. Box it up, send it out. They should have gone in there and said, here's the virtual switch. They hit the button, it turns it off. They didn't turn it off. So the protocol was never disabled before shipping. An attacker within 10 meters connects via BLE or Bluetooth Classic. No user interdiction. The connection is silent. It gets worse. Once connected, race or ACE commands dump the flash programming inside the Bluetooth link key. The 128-bit key, which is what your phone uses to verify your headphones, is trusted. The link key, the attacker clones your phone's headphones Bluetooth identity. Then your phone sees Sony WH-1000XM5 connecting. It trusts it automatically. No pairing pop-up. So all this is happening, and you don't hear anything. You don't see anything going, it's a new device. No. So here's the thing. They then get all your phone numbers using HFP commands. They access your contacts and call history. They can trigger Siri or Google Assistant. They can trigger incoming calls silently. They can make outgoing calls to premium numbers. They can activate your phone's microphone and listen. And at 39C3, the researchers demonstrated WhatsApp and Amazon account takeovers live. Confirmed vulnerable. If you got a Bluetooth headphone, stop using it. Use a plug-in dongle, use plug-in headphones. Trust me on this one. So confirmed vulnerable. Sony, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Sony confirmations. Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds, Marshall Major, JBL, Jabra, Beyerdynamic, Teufel, J-Lab Epic Air Sport, but that's not a complete list. AirRoha chips are in hundreds of products. Some manufacturers do not even know they use AirRoha because they outsource the Bluetooth modules. Oops. However, not vulnerable are Apple AirPods because they use different protocols. They use proprietary stuff. It is all their own. Let's see. Scrolly. So firmware updates come through manufacturer apps. Most users never open these apps after setup. Patches exist but are not reaching devices. So they recommend update firmware through your manufacturer app, remove old Bluetooth pairings from your phone, disable Bluetooth when they are not using it. High-value targets use wired headphones. So there is way more on this one, and this is coming from a bunch of guys from Ethical Hacking, and they know. Let's see. Any guesses on how fast or how much Maduro squeal? Oh, dude. There's that whole behind the scenes thing that's going on now. And actually, the first place I heard about it was on Scott Adams' podcast. He was talking about like election hacking that got Biden into office that may have had something to do with Venezuela. Stand by on that one. It's going to be quite interesting. Let's see. Scrolly. This unbelievably just made me chuckle. So Venezuela supposedly was very secure. They had, I think it was 9 Chinese and a bunch of Russian radar setups, and they were like, oh no, we are secure. Nobody's going to come in here and tell us not to do anything because we are that guy. Sound guy. No. It's like when the U.S. military came. No, sound guy. They weren't knocking on the door, okay? They said, hey. Yeah, they said, hey, douchebags. Right, exactly. That's exactly what they said. They said, hey, douchebags. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. Hey, douchebags. Okay, sound guy. They weren't knocking on the door. They just flew and grabbed the guy, right? 3 minutes on the ground, touch in, knock a door in, grab his butt, and take off again. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And the Chinese stuff and the Russian stuff was pretty much blanking useless. So according to former Chinese journalist Zhao Langjian, Chinese military personnel were caught on the ground in Venezuela during U.S. military operations and unable to get out in time. Translation, they didn't know it was coming, and once that stuff was going on, they were like, oh, snap, what do we do here? Yeah, so Zhao says sources inside Chinese intelligence confirmed that the situation changed too fast for personnel tied to the Chinese Communist Party local military system to withdraw in sync. Reported conditions were serious. Restricted freedom of movement, external communications tightly controlled, highly unstable and uncertain security environment. Translation, these guys flew in and the Chinese were like, holy snap, what do we do now? The Americans are here. We can't budge. Right. You can't budge. You guys were made to be seen as the paper tiger that you always truly were. Your equipment was crap, and the world market has now seen your equipment is crap. Nobody stopped the special forces from coming in there. Read like Delta Force. Yeah, those guys came in with a couple of Chinook helicopters and a couple of little Spidey guys, like they're really small helicopters. Like you saw Black Hawk Down, like they're doing the assault where everybody was standing on the skids. One of those guys. Yeah, so the Delta guys came in, snagged them, took off. 3 minutes later, they were in the air. Bye-bye. That's hit and run tactics that should have been countered. They should have seen the helicopters coming in. They should have stopped it from ever happening. Chinese and Russian technology is crap. Unsuitable for use. And that's putting it nicely. Scrolly. Yeah. Somebody was pointing out on X, GWB needed 170,000 troops that led to over 4,400 U.S. military casualties and an 8-year war to try to capture Saddam Hussein. President Trump captured Nicolas Maduro while we were sleeping overnight with 0 casualties. Pretty much. Let's see. Scrolly. Going in further to the Beijing stuff. Beijing's long advertised shield of Venezuela failed under real combat pressure, exposing the limits of Chinese military systems when confronted by the U.S. military in modern high-intensity operations. For years, the Venezuelan military invested heavily in Chinese-made equipment, presenting it as the most advanced defense architecture in South America. At the center of the claim was an air defense network built around the JY-27 counter-stealth radar, a system reportedly promoted as capable of detecting and tracking U.S. stealth aircraft such as the F-22 and F-35. Venezuela's Marine Corps was likewise showcased as a regional heavyweight equipped with VN-16 and VN-18 amphibious armored vehicles and supported by Chinese rocket artillery. Together, these systems meant that to form a layered resilient defense that could deter or at least blunt U.S. military power. That image collapsed rapidly once operations began. They got their asses handed to them, okay? No way around it. So, never mind that the military gear failed miserably. It didn't stop a full-on U.S. assault team insertion and extraction and extradition of a foreign military leader. So much so that there is one of their guys kirking out big time online. The guy's name is Li Yi. A top CCP political advisor and massive social media influencer in China went live after hearing the news that U.S. forces captured Maduro, and he absolutely lost it. On Steam, he was literally slapping his own face and said in disbelief, they can capture him from 3,300 kilometers away? WTF. Shame on myself. And then he spiraled. I don't even feel human anymore. I'm living in this world. Forget it. Forget it. Let that sink in. This isn't some random internet troll. This is a connected CCP voice reacting in real time to what just happened, and his reaction wasn't defiance. It was shock, humiliation, and existential dread. Why? Because this wasn't just about Maduro. It was about capability, reach, and precision. A dictator protected by foreign intelligence services, internal security, loyalists taken alive from the other side of the hemisphere. That kind of operation doesn't just scare tyrants, it rattles the people who study power for a living. When a senior Chinese political figure goes on live stream and openly questions reality, slapping himself, cursing, and cutting himself off in mid-thought, that's just not propaganda. These guys are unbelievably shaken with this one. And you know what? I've always thought that China was a complete and total paper tiger. They never really impressed me with any of their equipment. And anytime they've ever said, oh, yeah, we're this great outreach of communist power, you guys can't stop us, I've never been impressed with the executions and obviously the examples they show. You know, they march around real pretty, I'll give you that. But it comes right down to it. They're a communist dictatorship trying to say that they are something that they are not. Wow. And that in all of itself says it all. All right, folks, got the music up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You got many other places to be on a Tuesday, but decided to hang out with me. Get a gold star for attendance. Good stuff like that there. I will see you guys next week unless I do something sooner. And I thank you guys so much for all your kind attentions. I will catch you then. So eat good, keep it tender as always, you know what, you love it. I will see you guys next week and good stuff like that there. Catch you guys later. Have a good one, and I will see you later. See you guys.